Welcome back to Adam's DIY Universe, and today we're going to be patching a little hole in the wall. I have a little trick that I use in this situation, and to do that I will need a piece of plasterboard about the same size as the hole, a longer narrow piece of wood, and one long screw towards about this 2/3 of the way down the longer piece of wood, and 2 screws to screw the piece of jib into the wall. And I'll also want 2 screws on the wall to screw into my longer piece of wood, and I will show you how to do this now. Okay, so back to the hole. Now I've got my longer piece of wood here with the screw firmly in place. I maneuver that into the gap, pull tightly, and then I'm going to screw the top and the bottom screw in so that that piece of wood stays firmly in place. Now, as you can see, that piece of wood is firmly screwed into place. All I need to do now is to unscrew this. Easy as that. And now I will go and get my piece of jib to fill the hole. Now the next part of the job is to pop in a piece of plasterboard with the 2 screws. And now that's ready for screwing in. So that's screwed into place now, and the next job is to go around and fill the edges before plastering. Now the next step is to fill around the outside with paintable gap filler, and this will allow the area to flex so that when you plaster and paint over the top you won't get any cracking. As you can see, I've lightly filled over the whole area, and what I'm going to do is smooth that off now and then wait for it to dry. Now that this area is smoothed off, I'll wait for it to dry. It's sandable, so I can give it a sand, flatten it out a little bit before I then plaster the area. Now I'm back the next day and looking at the area, it's nice and firm and dry. So what I want to do now is just sand off all of those hard edges that are sticking out before I plaster. Now I've popped a bit of plaster on. You can use small amounts of gap filler that you just add water to. I've got a whole bucket of plaster here, so I'm just going to use that. This stuff dries and it's quite soft when sanded, so you can take a fair bit off it with sanding, so I don't need to be as accurate as you might with some forms of plaster. So it all depends what plaster you use, but in this case I can afford to put a little bit more on and sand it a bit more at the end. Now I'm back the next day, the plaster's dry, and I'm going to do some sanding. Once I've put my mask and earmuffs on. Okay, so now it's all sanded, and basically it's just a matter of a little bit of paint. I'll carry on with this. Right, so I've put my primer undercoat on, that's dry. The next day I've come back and placed a couple of coats of top coat on, and now when we look at this hole, we can't see that there was a hole, and that's the whole idea of what we've been doing. So if you found this helpful, please press like and subscribe to follow along for more tips and tricks around the house, garage and garden. Thanks for watching.